Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you for having me. How are you?
So far, so good.
Good.
So, man, listen, at this point, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know you in this space. But for those who don't, how would you describe yourself and what you do in one sentence?
Oh, Jesus.
It can be two.
Uniquely bold, innovative, and completely disruptive.
Okay. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yes, it's interesting. Like, I look at the industry that we're in, I look at a tremendous amount of vanilla personalities. I look at a tremendous amount of people playing both sides, Democratic and Republic, if you could imagine that. I know it's a hot topic at the moment. People are friends with everybody, which end up being friends with nobody. I'm not like that. I'm very polarized in terms of my personality, the brand, who I am as a person. You either like it or you hate it, and that's perfectly fine with me. I don't care either side. So that's what it is. I appreciate you, though, telling me that everybody knows who I am. It was never the goal. The goal was to always to help tremendous people and to, give them something that I wasn't able to have in life, at a very early age. It's, the ability to have education and a skill set that could take care of your loved ones. So that's the goal of all of it.
Okay. So when you say that, before all the success, before sales, like what was like for you growing up, if you don't mind me asking? Like what were some of those struggles?
We had a great life. I got two brothers that I'm very fortunate enough now that are working with me, which was a lifelong dream of mine. I grew up in a family business that, tried to take care of everybody. So I grew up learning the good and bad of that type of life, and I wanted to create a business that ultimately allowed my kids to be successful and to have a good start in life, but also my brothers, and to take care of their families. So I'm very fortunate on that side. I grew up in a small town, Cormac, very much like you. We didn't have internet like they have it today. I didn't have a credit card till I was 26 years of age. So I grew up in a different time. I grew up in a time where, if you talk smack online or if you talk smack in person, you were going to get a smashed mouth in. So I look at the industries and I look at people that hide behind keyboards and stuff like that, and it's like, it's just embarrassing, and it's just really corny and really kind of icky in my eyes. But I grew up in Ireland. I had two great brothers, lots of great friends, a good life. I had a lot of great things happen, also lots of bad things. That's just life, and that's just the natural occurrence of growing up. And we've always taken the good and bad of both things and tried to make it better for other people.
Yeah. So what were you doing directly before sales?
Before sales, I'll give you a time storm. So when I was 17, just turning 18, I joined the military. So I spent 4.5 years in the Irish Defence Forces. After that, I got out and I started to train people physically. And then I moved to London at 22 years of age, and that ran its course up until 2020 when I started in sales full time. COVID kind of wiped that business off the board, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. We started in sales in 2020. By March, I was, Germany's top rep. And I did that for 18 months until we got to a position where I got fired, which is perfectly fine. And that's great. And then I set up the business in May of 2022. And then we have, coached, developed over 3,000 individuals in that time, which has been awesome. And it's been a privilege of mine. And it's been a lifelong dream of mine to have that amount of impact in a lot of lives. So we're very fortunate.
I mean, so you started business in 2021, and I mean, within a few months, you made it multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, when we set up the business in May 2022,
2022, yeah.
2022, the following 4 months, we had made over $1 million. We got like what you have behind you, one of those ClickFunnels award. I'm waiting on my next one, which is the 10 million one. Hopefully we'll get that very, very soon. But it just took off because I solved a big problem for a lot of people. And when you do that, you ultimately create a lot of enemies too. You create a lot of, people that want to come and take what you got. People see what I have, the beautiful home that I have, the cars that I have, the watches that I have, the respect that I have, the the notoriety that I have. Lots of people want that. Lots of people feel that, they're entitled to it. And they want to, try and take you down. And that's great. But that's just part and parcel of being the guy, I guess,
Yeah. But what was the hardest part of that journey? Like, were there ever moments where you wanted to quit?
I've never quit in my entire life, unfortunately.
I never said you did, but were there a moment where you wanted?
I've never got to a stage where I wanted to quit. I think the hardest part for me is I'm very emotional. I'm very emotionally driven. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I've always been of the best for people. And when people do you wrong and people, take kindness for weakness, I learned very quickly in life, especially around this type of business, that it's just parcel of, building and growing. As I said to you offline, it's like you can't have the plus without the minus, and I had to get used to that. I had to get used to, for most of my life, I was chasing, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And now you're flipping and people are chasing you. It's a different dynamic, and it's a different respect that you have to give it. And it comes with different insecurities and different problems, but it also comes with many, many great pluses. So that's probably been the biggest issue that I've had to deal with is, lots of people knowing your name, but also lots of people, wanting to take you out, which is great. It means you're doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, I got to ask you, because to prepare for our interview today, I've been watching some of your podcasts, and in one of those podcasts, you said that success isn't about the talent, but it's about becoming a person who deserves it. So how do you feel this transformation looks like on an internal level?
Jeannie, I'm not too sure what you're referring to in terms of podcasts. We've done so many of them, but
if you're just gonna take that statement, how could you refer to it?
Yeah, see, a lot of one person told me once when I used to play sport, I was 18 years of age and I played in a senior game and I won man of the match, and I basically scored a hat-trick in football terms and won the game against our biggest local rival. And he said to me one time, and I'll never forget it, this is 15 years ago, probably 12 years ago. He said to me, enjoy the night, because we were in the pub and we were celebrating and we were drinking and all of that great stuff. And he rang me, old man, very wise. He said to me, you're never as good as they say you are when you're winning, and you're never as bad as they say you are when you're losing. And that stuck with me for my entire life. It stuck with me even to today. That's why I bring it up. Mm-hmm. And the whole concept of, believing that you're entitled to it is never leaving a stone unturned. It's always doing the best that you can, even when people aren't watching you, even when, there's nothing on the line. I have a great quote here on my wall that I got commissioned, and I'll read it out to you because it's really important. What it says is, I believed in me long before everyone else believed. And I hold by that every day, because if I didn't believe in myself and I didn't believe that I could get to here today in whatever capacity or whatever vehicle that was going to look like, then none of you guys would be able to believe in yourself either. And none of you would ever be able to believe in me as a leader. Yeah. So you have to believe in yourself first, but you also have to back it up with a unfiltered amount of fucking evidence and work and resilience. And you're going to lose 90% of the time. But if you keep going and going and going, you only need to win 10% of your time to win and to change your life, like I've been able to do. So that's what I mean about doing the internal work and believing all the way through.
Yeah, it's all about the 10%. And going back to what you said, yes, you need to have the conviction and you need to have confidence in yourself. Otherwise, with what you do right now, you wouldn't be able to transfer that conviction and confidence to your students.
No. But also it's like you have to believe that what you're doing is good. Because you can talk about conviction and confidence and certainty, like I call it my 3 C's all the time. But if you don't truly believe what you're doing is actually impacting positively, it's very, very hard to have confidence in doing it. And that's why, when you see a lot of people coaching and training and a lot of people, trying to build businesses, do they truly, truly believe that what they're doing is improving on what they already know? And if the answer is no, that's why you keep seeing people flip and flopping up and down and in and out.
Yeah.
Which is really, really important, because all you got to do is just look for the clues. That's it. You look for the clues in terms of like, 1 month we're doing X, next month we're doing Y, the month after that we're doing 1, the next month after that we're back to Y, and so on and so forth. If you truly believe what you're doing, you stay on the course all the way. And that's the difference.
Yeah. And it's not easy sometimes, with everything that is going on around. Shiny object syndrome sometimes is kicking in. Sometimes it's hard to stay on that course.
It is, but like if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your product and you don't believe in what you're doing, that's when you do look for shiny penny syndrome. And it's like, I take you back to the first day of, building the objection box. If I didn't believe truly, wholeheartedly in it, 1,000%, I wouldn't have been able to make $1 million in the first 4 months of opening up the doors. We pretty much have kept going at that pace ever since.
How do you build that belief and confidence without having proof of concept, though? Because like at this point where you have been building the objection box, you only had this proof of concept for yourself, like being a salesperson yourself. How did you know it's going to be able to help so many people, though?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had already proven the concept in terms of training, because I used to run the trainings for hundreds of people at any one time on my calls. Now, you have to understand, like when I started in sales, after a couple of months, I was asked to coach and to lead great people, bringing people from 10 grand a month to 40 grand a month and things like that. And I was like, the penny started dropping for me when I was like, something's not right here. I'm doing great work, but I'm not getting paid great payments. I'm not getting great assets back. I'm not, getting my fair whip of the stick. So that was the start of the end. But anyway, I had already proven it that side. I already proven it with the amount of sales that I was making on a monthly basis, but also the amount of people that I personally coached and trained. I didn't prove it in a sense of like group aspects, but I just knew if I got enough people in the room and I just coached them and I led them properly, that the winners would win anyway. Because once you have the right information and you have the right amount of accountability, it's very, very hard not to fail. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very hard, to go out of your way and actually fail. If you have the right information, you have the right amount of work rate and the right accountability, it's very, very hard not to win. That's what I've seen.
But you still can. So
you absolutely can.
Even if you have those like character traits, like what could be the reason you fail in this space?
There's many, many reasons, external reasons, your family are falling apart, like mine unfortunately did. There's, like poor Nikki, you fucking end up in a car crash and you're out of work for fucking 6 months at a time. And not everybody would have a great friend like me who can float you and take care of you and look out for you and, make sure that you're all right. Because it's a very, very selfish industry. And it's a very, we would say Mayfainer industry, which is me, I. So there's lots of ways that you can fail. The offer tanks and you haven't done enough work to shake enough hands and kiss enough babies, as I would say. And then people don't know who you are.
External reasons, maybe? What do you think?
Yeah, external reasons. There's lots of external reasons.
Like outside of the external reasons.
What's that? Outside?
Like outside of the external reasons.
Internally, yeah, there's lots. You can, for whatever reason, your girlfriend breaks up with you probably. And, you're not able to deal with that. Or you're on an offer where, they're not laydowns and you actually have to go to work and you have to do some follow-ups and you have to actually go out and create opportunity. There's lots of issues. There's lots of stuff that people don't have enough skill sets to actually go out and do. I would actually wish that we would stop booking calls and I could give my guys 1,000 leads and say, okay, bring me back X amount every month or else you're out. I think we've been conditioned to be soft. I was unfortunately in that position too, where it was like, I just hit the right space at the right time with the right people on the right mission, on the right offer, on the right price point, with the right of exposure, with the right amount of marketing, with the right leadership people in place. And, it was all all roads came together at once to create a fucking machine.
So do you feel that success is also dependent on being in the right place at the right time?
See, that comes to the concept of, luck. But if you constantly turn up, you'll eventually get lucky. Denzel Washington, who's back there, who's my favorite actor of all time, he says, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you'll get a haircut. What that basically means is if you continuously turn up day after day after day, you'll eventually catch a break. So it's not actually catching the break, meaning that like one random day you just did something and then it just took off. It's like you do something 100 times and you fail 99, and one time that you do it right, you hit a break, you hit a bit of luck, and you fucking take off. So you have to fail and be willing to fail 99% times to hit the one to take off. That's the concept.
I want to go back for a second to what we have been speaking about before, about, your journey. So you went to the military, out of the military, you transitioned into fitness, then into sales. Yeah. Like, what was the moment that made you realize that the sales is going to be your path?
Yeah, very simple. I remember it clear as day. I remember the first week, a friend of mine at the very, very start of my sales career, he came to me. David Kingsbury is his name. And I'll always be good friends with the man, and, I see him quite regularly. I used to work as a PT back in the day in his gyms. And he came to me one time over COVID. This is like 6-7 weeks into COVID. Everything is shut down. No gyms. Everybody was cancelling their memberships. I went from, having 20 clients to 0. And I had a baby due in 6 weeks, who was my second born, India.
Shit.
She was born on the 5th of May, 2020. So this was 6 weeks prior to that. He came to me. It was about 4 or 5 weeks, sorry. He came to me and he said, look, I need a hand. I need you to help me sell some of this stuff online. We got nothing to give them other than push-ups, sit-ups, and jumping jacks. But we're going to keep them accountable and we're going to rock and roll it. And he was selling it for £79 a month. And at that time, he said to me, if you sell these, I will give you £35 per sale. And after the first week of that offer, of that selling, I think I closed out at like 32 or 36 sales in the week. And I looked at my partner at the time and I said to her, I think we're in the right vehicle. I think we're doing the right thing. Because I was making £52 an hour, going to the gym every day, having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to take my first session at 6 o'clock. Now I'm in an office, a maid office in the space of a minute with a laptop, sitting there in the blistering heat of that summer, in a pair of boxers and socks, making more in an hour selling fitness than I was doing fitness, and then the penny dropped. I was like, we are in fitness, but we're in fitness the wrong way. I think I'm better at selling it than I am at actually, producing it and directing it. And then that was just it. Then we just kept going and going and going. And the first month we made, 2 or 3x more of what we made as a PT. And then I took 6 weeks off to be with my little girl because I was like, I'm coming back to something. I know I'm going to make money here. I just had complete conviction in it. And I kept doing that. And then the second biggest break that I got in sales was I met Matt Ryder through that relationship. And whatever relationship I have with Matt Ryder now, I will always have to say thank you. And I will always pay my respects to him. Because without him, I wouldn't be here today. And I always want to do that with people because most people don't do that anymore. Most people don't pay respect and they don't pay homage to people that actually put them on. They don't pass back the flowers, which is an insult to the people that help them. But anyway, that's a different story.
They try to pretend like they got where they are by their own, on their own.
Yeah. I've no doubt that you first have to put yourself in the relationship. You first have to put yourself in the shop window. You first have to get up and you first have to self-start. That's completely fine. I can completely respect that. But when somebody actually connects with you and then they take you on the journey and they give you something that you fundamentally couldn't give you yourself, then you have to always pay respect. So I'll always pay respects that way. How the relationship ended is a different conversation. That's perfectly understandable, and that's normal. That's just life. That's a breakdown of relationships. Completely fine. But anyway, the second part of the break was, so that relationship was formed through David Kingsbury. And David's offer started to fall apart, which was perfectly normal. That's what happens in business.
Yeah.
And I met Matt at that time, and I said, hey, things aren't working out with David at the moment. If there's any work, would love to work with you guys. Totally respect what you're building, and would love to be a part of it if you feel there would be a place for me. And he did. And he put me on outbound dials. And I did 3 offers. At the time, I used to work for a man in the morning called James Cant over there in Australia in the early morning. So like 4 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I would come to the UK and work with David. And then I would go to Eastern Standard Time and work with another man called Vince Del Monte. Now, I don't know, do you know who those people are? But those are the people that ultimately helped me get to where I am today. But anyway, so we did that for September, October, November, December. December comes. Now, what tends to happen in December, Conrad, is people go away on holidays and people take Christmas off. And I remember as clear as day. So I was doing outbound dials for Vince Del Monte. And, because people just think that I just created the objection box and, I just, never done any of the work. But that's a different story. But that's what people are just silly. And anyway, so it got to like 2 or 3 days just before the Christmas period. The Christmas period is like the 20th to the 27th.
Yeah.
So it was like a couple of days before that. And the 2 people that were working Vince Del Monte's offer at that time, 2 great salespeople, Will Odoms and Rode, I can't pronounce the second name, but 2 great people that, I was very fortunate enough to work with at that time. And it got to the couple of days before Christmas. And the guys never turned off their calendars.
Oh, shit.
Yes. And the guys were like going away. They were like taking time off because they'd made money. They'd had a good year. You know what I mean? And the guys are like, we fucked up. There's calls on the calendar, but we're off. I think there was like 13, 14 calls on the calendar. And they're like, do you want the calls? I was like, yeah, fucking damn straight I do. I don't want to be stuck on outbound dials for the rest of my life. So I took the 14 calls. I think 13 of them showed up. And I think we sold 10 or 11 out of the first 13 calls. And this was like 2 or 3 days before Christmas. And I remember clear as day over that Christmas period, Matt Ryder sent me a voice note and was like, when you come back in January, you're not doing any more outbound dials, you're just going to sell. And that was the second break. And then I went from, this is what I tell people all the time, like you're going to get a chance. You will get a chance in life if you keep turning up and you keep doing the work and you keep improving your skill sets and you keep being resilient. You will get a chance. That was my second chance in 6 months. Now for the other 8 or 9 years, I got my dick kicked in. But I got 2 chances and I took both. When I went back in January, I was just selling. And then I got a third opportunity. The third opportunity came at the end of February of that month. 7th level needed a fucking complete line to go in and slap salespeople around and get them out of their own way and go and sell. So that was the third break. The third break was then to become, 7th level's top guy, and pretty much everything else has been built off the back of that, 7th level and that relationship and everything else. So that's what I would say to you in a long-winded way. There is chances in life that you will get an opportunity. You got to be able to meet opportunity with a skill set. If you do, the rest can take care of itself.
I mean, opportunities may come, but you also need to be able to see them. You need to be able to prove yourself whenever they come.
Correct.
Just like you prove yourself whenever, they forgot to turn off the calendars. Like you could have just said, no, I'm going to be spending the time with my family.
Correct. Correct. But then you have to take your chances, It won't keep coming around.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of opportunities and chances that you get in your life. You've been very fortunate enough to have a couple of them yourself. And you have to be willing enough and, bold enough to take them. And sometimes you take them and it doesn't work out. And you learn and you grow and you put yourself in a better position moving forward. That's how it takes care of itself,
Yeah. Yeah. So one of my favorite quotes is like, you never fail. You either learn or succeed. Succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a different kind of quote on that. You earn or you learn. So every call, you're earning or learning.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I'm either going to earn some dollars here today and I'm going to help a great person, or I'm going to learn what not to do.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the case. You have to look at every concept and say to yourself, how am I going to learn or earn off this? That's the key.
Yeah. So you've been on 3 offers at once. How many hours per day you have been working?
Enough. Some people are like, yeah, but I only want to work X amount of hours. Yeah, great. Well, you'll only ever get X amount back.
Yeah.
You know, I worked in Australia, and this is facts. Like, I can go back and show you the calendars. I worked in Australia, and then I worked in the UK. And then once I hit like 2, 3, 4 p.m. in the day, then I worked for Vince Del Monte. And I did it until like 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I had 2 young kids. I have an opportunity in life. I'll be fucked if I'm just going to hold on to like, I'm tired, or, you know, I haven't gone to the gym, or I haven't gone for my run. I probably put on 2 stone when I started working at that level, because I just put everything into it. I have a very dedicated life. You know, you just have to look at, you know, how I keep in shape. You know, I don't drink or smoke to excess. I don't smoke at all, I should say. I don't drink or eat rubbish to excess. So for me to put on a stone, nearly a stone and a half in just pure fat, was like, I was just all in. That's what it was. And most people want to have balance. There's no such thing as balance. It's like you're all in or you're all out.
That's true. I can relate to it a little bit. So my first year in sales, I've been working insane hours as well, like 12 to 14 hours a day at least, 30 pounds overweight. Yeah, so just right now finishing shredding it off.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same. Like, I'm probably below 7% body fat, and I carried that for the last number of years. But when I started in sales, it just wasn't that, because I knew I could always get back in shape. I've been in shape my entire life.
Yeah.
But this was
the time
more
to build a
about,
skill set was that time.
Yeah, it was more like, I'm just going to put all the time and energy and focus into building this, because this is what's going to give me the life that I always wanted anyway. I can always get back in shape, but I can't just stop and say, hey, I need to go and train and come back. Can you give me the opportunity later on in the day? Don't work like that.
Yeah. I mean, man, you've built intense and insane work ethic. So can I ask, like, what were some non-negotiables that helped you get where you are right now?
The non-negotiables for me, the first thing is you got to work at the weekends. Only broke people take time off at the weekends. And that's going to ruffle a couple of feathers.
Yeah.
But broke people feel they deserve 2 days off. I never felt I deserved 2 days off. And if you love what you do and you're doing it for the right reasons being your family, people that you love, your future, building, you know, security, you don't need to take 2 days off. And it's like every 9 to 5 job, they fundamentally get 2 days off because they hate what they do more often than not.
Yeah.
So that was the first non-negotiable. I would never take 2 days off. Because if I took 2 days off, that meant that I didn't want it bad enough. And Patrick Bet-David said something one time in his book. If I work a weekend and my biggest competitor feels that they don't need to work a weekend anymore, or if I work a full day on a Saturday and they're only working a half a day, over the course of time, I'm cutting them down.
Yeah.
And I looked at that as like, well, I know for a fact there's no salesperson coming to the fucking coffee shop on a Sunday morning, rewriting scripts, rewriting hooks, rewriting analogies, objection handling frameworks, looking at the process, reviewing all their calls, and say to themselves, how can I set myself up next week for success? That's the difference. So I was the first biggest non-negotiable. The second one was that, you know, I was going to be relentless. And I wasn't going to, you know, just allow the word no to affect me. I've been denied my entire life in every which way, professionally and personally. So I always say there's only 4 things happen at the end of a call. Yes, no, fuck you, and hang up. You know, those are some of the non-negotiables that I had when I walked into sales. You know, and that was really important, and that kind of really set me apart, because if you work harder than everybody and you're constantly improving your skill sets, then it's just inevitable that you are going to beat them.
Yeah. That's true. Regarding those four things that can happen at the end of the call, yes, no, fuck you, or hang up. I remember from the objection box, your motto is like that the pipelines are for people who cannot close. So what does that mean for you? Like, why do you feel so many salespeople hide behind their pipelines?
It's different, like, and I say that in regards to B2C. I know B2B because, you know, there will be a couple of fucking jackasses out there, but like, that's not how you do B2B. That's not how you do this. That's not how you do that. Yeah. Not everything arseholes is fucking universally, you know, blanketed across the fucking sales space, you fucking dipstick. Yeah. I'm talking about people that fold under a tiny bit of pressure in terms of a smokescreen. Think about a partner, write it to me in an email, let get back to you next week. Can you send over a proposal, X, Y, and Z? I'm talking about that way. I'm talking about people just not having the skill sets to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why they're doing it. Most people, when they get objections and their problems, their cortisol levels go through the roof. They enter into fight or flight, and they just fold. That's what I mean. You know, you shouldn't rely on a pipeline if the deal is there. You know, B2C, which is business to consumer, which is selling online products, coaching consultancies, agencies, fitness products, you know, anything that's in a group capacity, anything that, you know, is in a money-making process, all of those can be dealt with on the first call. You don't need a pipeline of fucking 60 fucking people that you're constantly referring back to. Now, don't get me wrong, those are great, but they shouldn't be the bulk of your income. Those should be bonuses. I always looked at, you know, follow-ups as bonuses that you get paid based on last week's work, you know?
Mm. So would you say you are not about follow-ups at all?
No, of course. You know, I make money.
Yeah.
I'm not egotistical enough to say, well, if you don't pay on the first day, I'm never going to follow up with you. Of course we will. Of course we will. You couldn't be a true professional if you're just going to do that, you know. And some people are just not in a position to make a decision. That's perfectly fine. But if I've done everything that I can, and that person, you know, wasn't able to make any amount of decision today, then number one, I'm not there for the person. Number two, my outcome is more important than the individuals, which was never the intention in the first place. So, yes, we do follow-ups. My guys do follow-ups all the time. Okay. I send messages all the time. My guys say, hey, can you voice note X? I'm like, yeah, of course I can. I spend a whole day, half a day, nearly mailing people all the time. So, yes, I don't ever leave the ego get in the way of making money. I leave the ego get in the way of allowing people to speak and think that they can talk to me in whatever way that they like. That will never be.
Ego get in the way to help the person at the end of the day. Correct. If not today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's important. You know, people are just people at the end of it all. Yeah. You know, and people aren't able to make a decision, you know, because if they were, they wouldn't be in the position in the first place. Yeah. So you have to be respectful enough to try and help them, you know, and that means that you may have to fucking follow up with them for the next couple of weeks. That's just life.
But still, you are known for being pretty aggressive with the objection handling. I don't know if I can call it aggressive, but a lot of people would call it aggressive. Like, what do you think is the biggest mistake that salespeople make when trying to objection handle?
Do you know what? Do you ever go to a proper bodybuilding gym? Where like there's
twice, I think, yeah.
So like there's like chalk on the floor and there's like there's rubbish, not rubbish, but it's not like the benches are split and you know there's loud music being played and people are shouting and bawling and you know they're really hyping themselves up. I'm not like that, and I'll give you two concepts. Number one, more than happy to get a slap on the back when you're going for a PB. But if you're not emotionally driven, then how can you ever find the courage to keep going and keep pushing and keep going after when you know it's too heavy? But that's the whole concept. It's a fucking PB. See, a lot of people think that sales is like, you know, you sit in Planet Fitness and you're on, you know, the bench press and it's like you're just putting a couple of slots on the side. But you're never going to build muscle like that. You're never going to build up the resilience. You're never going to have the callus on your hands like I do if you're just always on the soft stuff. You have to pick up the weights. You have to allow them, you know, cut your fucking hand. You have to allow it to break down your muscles. So that's not aggressive. That's just like, I'm here to win. And I'm here to help. Some people call that aggressive. They can call it whatever they like. But what isn't aggressive is my bank account and the amount of people I've helped. Or
you could call it aggressive too.
Well,
big enough to be aggressive.
Yeah, it depends on how many letters you want to associate with your name, I guess. And I'm not talking about doctors.
Yeah, yeah. So before we started rolling, you mentioned that right now you have 15 people on your team, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask, like, how do you pick and train the right people for your internal team?
I pick on personality, and I pick based on who they are. I pick based on their resilience. I pick based on what they've achieved in their life. I don't need a fucking winner. I need somebody with the ambition to go and try and win. What I mean by that is, like, I've had enough people that want to, like, ego and, they made a little bit of money and all that kind of stuff. I rather hire based on personalities and based on people I can trust. So as I said to you, I have like Nikki, who works with us, who's a great guy and great friend of mine. I have Kieran, who's been with me since pretty much day dot. And I have my two brothers. They're the core. And then we have guys that come in and out and stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. But if you keep your core strong, you can add to it, but you can't be rocked if the core is solid. So I hire on integrity. I hire on resilience. I want to know the bad shit that has happened in your life and what you've been able to overcome. I want to hire based on hard work. Everything else I can teach you. I can teach you the education. I can teach you the skill sets. I can't teach you what's fundamentally not inside you, which is the right integrity, the right respect, and the right amount of hard work.
So you have like a really close core, I would say, core team, and then some of the people just come and go.
Yeah, always. Okay. Yeah, we have a really good core team that has taken years to kind of solidify. But also it solidifies because you want to share. You want to give them great opportunities. You can't just expect. And that's something that I'll always be open and honest about. You have to build companies together. It's not the Bill Welsh show, and that's really important. It's not Bill Welsh is Objection Box. It's my name. Hopefully, in 10 years' time, won't even be associated with it. I hope. It will be like Salesforce or the Sandler training or whatever. That's what hopefully I get to, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Because then it's like it's not dependent on me. Because to get it to the dizzy heights that I know it can get to, you can't necessarily have someone as divisive as me there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Why do you say hopefully, though?
Hopefully is like I'm being polite. I'm being coy. Because if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't keep doing it. I've already done what I needed to do in life. Yeah. I've already made enough. I've already earned enough. And I've already, enough success stories to be able to walk away and have an impact for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that's important. But it's just about taking care of everyone else.
Yeah.
And that core team.
You don't need to be polite with me right now, There needs to be the confidence.
It's not about you. It's about some Tom, Dick, and Harry that will hear this and be like, fuck, this guy is so egotistical and he's so X and he's so Y. I am. And that's perfectly fine. I am. But sometimes I have to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah. I read the book of Grant Cardone. Sometimes you gotta be obsessed with what you want, or otherwise it's gonna become average. So it's not about egos. It's about the confidence and the conviction that you have in your goals and in your vision.
It is. And it's also like, I'll tell you this, everybody wants it.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody that's, wanting to be successful that doesn't actually want to be successful.
Yeah.
So, like, what am I doing on a daily basis that ultimately is going to not just keep me ahead of the pack, but also keep me hungry to chase down another pack?
Yeah.
Because there's always someone doing better than you. And that's really important. And I know that. Like, I know where I'm going, and I also know who I have to take out in order to get there. And for the 400 other people that want to take me out, because I'll probably be the next thing in their line, or maybe there's 6 or 7 steps ahead of them, they gotta have that level of resilience as well and that level of work rate. Because if they don't, they're not going to make it. They won't make it till the end of the year, never mind in 10 years' time. Yeah. So you have to be respectful to the game, and that's really important.
Yeah. And on the long enough time horizon, those people won't even count anymore.
That's the beauty of it. Like, you just have to stay relevant long enough for everybody else to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. So, man, like also in one of the podcasts, you said that you only take advice from the people who have what you want. So, can I ask, like, what is the best advice that you ever received?
Oh shit, the best advice that I ever received. I always go back to that, what I just explained earlier on. I'm never as good as I think I am, and I'm never as bad as I think I am.
Okay.
And I'm never as good as people think I am, and I'm never as bad as they think I am. Because if I can always believe in that and I can always hold value to that, then I can always be somewhat grounded. Now, of course, it's very hard to be grounded when you're trying to be excellent, because you're trying to elevate yourself to new heights. And in order to elevate yourself to new heights, you have to get off the ground. So it's very hard to be grounded when you're trying to move ahead in life. But what I always say is, if I can look around and I can see my family, knowing that I'm doing it for the right reasons, knowing that I'm taking care of people that I love, I'll always take the shots. Which is really funny. I actually saw Drake this weekend. He's in Australia at the moment, doing his tour.
Okay.
And I love his costume. His costume is bullet holes and smoke out his back, and he's still moving through, and I'm not, for any reason, comparing myself to Drizzy Drake, but what I am saying is I can definitely understand some of that. I can understand, taking the hits and the licks and keeping going.
Can relate to the concept.
Yeah, I appreciate the concept. I think it was really, really good and well thought out, especially with like what happened with the NFL and, the halftime show and this, that, and the other stuff. And it's just the name of the game. You can't stay at the top for too long until people want to come and take it away from you. That's just the reality of life. That's just, it happens in every walk of life,
Yeah. But he also said something that it's your family that motivates you. So you are father of two, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah, I got two little girls, yeah.
How has fatherhood shaped your leadership and maybe business decisions? Or in any way?
Yeah, it's different because when you're a father, you do things that are selfish for the family, not for the individual. And that's really important because everything I do will fundamentally be passed back. That's just how it works. My role as a father is to protect and to provide. Those are the two P's that I talk about all the time. You got to protect and you got to provide. And in order to protect, you have to be out in front and you have to protect them from every issues and problems and concerns. And provide means you got to give them a great life. And I always ask people, if you're not doing both, then what are you? Are you living up to the core values that you think you want to have in life? If the answer is no, then you got to change. So business decisions, I think were very risky in a sense of growth, but I'll never put the jeopardy of their future at risk. So that's really important for me. But also my family doesn't just stop with my kids. I got my brothers. I got my mom that I, took care of in life. And, my brother has 3 young kids. And hopefully my other brother will start having his own kids, and that's because it's like I always tell people it's not about what we do, it's about what we inspire the rest of them to do. So like my greatest legacy, hopefully in life, when it's all said and done, I will impact thousands of lives, but the lives that I really want to impact and really influence are my nieces and nephews and my own kids. Because if I can show them what it's like to grow and to go after it and to believe and to fucking go all in, then isn't that the greatest thing? Because our family were on this path. Now, I fundamentally are the line breaker. The line breaker is, for years, my family are hardworking individuals. Plumbers, carpenters, electricians, small business owners. People that are just not necessarily professional in their right minds, if that makes sense. I mean professional, like lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, proper business owners, meaning like multiple businesses, thousands of employees and stuff like that. If I can break the line and I can give the nieces and nephews and my kids that new path, then that's the only legacy that I ever want to have. And that's the key for me. And if I can change and influence that, then I've done my job in life.
Yeah, it's all about the perspective, right? So we both know that working hard alone doesn't make you money, right?
No.
Otherwise, the construction workers would be rich, right?
Yeah.
Showing that it's possible, but also providing them with the proper tools in terms of mindset, approach to life.
Yeah. And it's very hard to ask somebody to believe in something they've never seen.
Yeah.
That's why it's very, very hard for somebody to believe in religion. Because it's just a feeling that you have to truly believe, because there's nothing there that shows us, well, this is actual facts.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's very, very hard. And it's also, that's why it's really, really hard to change a family's route and a path. And you have to change internally. You have to change how they believe and what they think and what they feel and what they, go all in for. It's like, it's like when you have a really successful sports person in your family.
Yeah.
And there's a blueprint, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a blueprint of success. And it's based on, well, that person has already done it. I know what it's going to take to at least get to that level, if not get better. And that's the goal. Like, that's the legacy that I want to have. That if I can give them that and I can give them the blueprint, then
did you always had that belief in yourself, though?
No, you don't. You don't have that belief in yourself. You have to form it. You have to form it based on. Mine have always been based on negatives. And I grew up in a life where I was 6-7 years of age when my mum and dad split, and my biggest goal in life was to protect. I remember being 6-7 years of age and being helpless in that situation. So I had to believe in myself in order to help others. So if I didn't do it, I don't think anyone was going to do it. Yeah. That's the belief. It's got to come from somewhere. Mine is from pain more often than not, but wanting to take care of people and protect people.
So if you could, like, looking back, like, if you could go back and give yourself, like your younger self, like one piece of advice before all of the success that you not just had, but that you have, like, what this advice would be?
The advice is that it's going to take way longer than you thought it would be, and that you're going to have to give it everything you got. And I mean everything. So for 10 years, Conrad, like, I live in one of the best cities in the world, in London. I've never been to a nightclub. Like, never been to a nightclub here in the city. I've given away, like, trips away with my friends. I've given away the whole concept of a social lifestyle. I go on holidays, but they're not holidays, they're work trips. Flittered in with, 3 hours at the pool. You understand what I'm saying to you? I don't go on holidays and, spend 10 days by the pool. Like, I'll go to Miami next week. Monday and Tuesday, I'll have meetings and dinners. I'll probably have podcasts that we'll have to get on. And then Thursday, Friday, I will do an event. Wednesday, I'll welcome all my boys in. So I'll sit down and we will process the whole couple of days. And I will strategize and I'll connect with them all and shake their hands and ask them how their life is. And all that is actual work. And then Saturday and Sunday, I will take off. And then Monday and Tuesday, I'm back to work. So I don't, like, I fly around the world and I go on holidays. No, I don't. I'm flying around the world shaking hands and kissing babies, as they say.
Yeah.
So that's the key. But, like, that's the trade-off. That was what I understand it to be. I know what it takes. I know what it takes to get to where I want to go, and I'm all in.
Yeah. Can relate to it a little bit myself. I mean, when you have that vision, when you have that something that you are willing to put work towards, I mean, you don't even look for the vacation from it. Like, I've been on an anniversary with my wife in Mexico for like a week or so, and she was just getting angry. I was taking calls at the pool, But at the end of the day, I am taking calls right now so we can, be where we are.
Yeah, it's a selfish life, unfortunately. It's a very, very selfish life to be with somebody that's ambitious and, wants to win. It takes a very, very special type of person to understand it, to respect it, but also be in a position where it doesn't create friction. Yeah. It takes a very, very special person to be in that position. And that's why, great partners are far and few between. Yeah. I could never be with somebody that wants a 9 to 5 and a white picket fence, because it just wouldn't work. It doesn't work. I've tried it. It don't work, unfortunately. So you have to have someone that believes in the passage that you're on, and that is going to support you with every which way. And just know, I tell people all the time, like if I have 100% in a day, 90% of that gets taken up by the work and the shit that I got to deal with on a daily basis. As I just said to you earlier on, we have our own shit this weekend, and you say to me, how's your week? I'm like, just part of the week, buddy. That's just life. That's just what it is when you get to the level that we're at.
Yeah.
But if you've got 10% left in the day, who you decide to give that 10% to should be really important for that person.
Yeah.
And it may only be just 10%, but that person has to know that
that is all you can give at the moment.
That's all I got, and that's really important, because like relationships depend on 100%.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the other person has to give 90 and you give 10. But then the other side of it, as you just alluded to, they get to go to Mexico for the week, and they get to have all inclusive, and they get to have everything that they've always desired. Great, secure home, life, travel, good food, everything else. So there's always a trade-off. That's really important.
So I got a question for you. Before, you mentioned that a lot of your beliefs come from pain, right? But this is kind of like a little bit unique approach, and not everybody creates their beliefs from the pains that they're going through. So like, if you could give like one piece of the advice for anyone who might be struggling with the things that he's going through right now in life, like, what do you feel should be the first step for them to turn things around?
Yeah, the first step is always like, if you don't feel good in yourself, then you'll never be good externally. So I'll bring it back to when I first started in sales. I needed to be financially secure in life, because I had issues with COVID, and I had 2 young kids, and you wanted to build a life for them. You wanted to give them a life. So the first thing and the first step that I had to do was I had to get somewhere to be able to breathe. And when people are struggling, that means they can't breathe. So there's 2 ways that you go about it. One, you financially get secure, which gives you time. Does that make sense? Because if you're not financially secure, you don't have the time to emotionally get secure. 50 Cent said something, I take inspiration from everybody, it's mental. 50 Cent said something one time, he was like, nobody in the hood have mental health. Something around this verbiage. He was like, we don't have time to have, off days.
Yeah.
We don't have enough food in the fridge to not go to work. We don't have enough, resources to not, stop because we're anxious. Understand what I'm saying to you? We don't have mental health days. And I'm not throwing shade at mental health, and that's really important that people understand that. What I'm saying is, like, we have to go, we have to keep moving, and that comes in my opinion, it's 2 facets. Either I get financially secure, which allows me time, it buys me time, which is really important, or the other option is I get physically secure. So that means I'm physically fit. That means, aerobic, anaerobic, that I'm solid. I can look in the mirror, and if everything is down in the day, I can look in the mirror and have pride in how I feel and how I look about myself. So there's 2 ways. You can be financially secure, which is going to give you time, or you can look in the mirror and you can be physically secure, and it gives you a sense of pride. That's how I've been able to do it if I'm never feeling bad. And that's just my piece of advice.
And this is big. Like, if you look in the mirror and you like yourself and you actually are proud of yourself, how you look like, I mean, this is big. This gives you such a big confidence that you feel like you can go out there and accomplish anything. Like, especially if you put the work towards building that physique.
Correct. Yeah. And it's like, if you can look in the mirror and find pride, and that it's taken effort and it's taken a tremendous amount of work rate, then you can take that amount of time, you can put it into something else and create something else out of it. Yeah. It's like when I got into sales, I just stopped the physical aspect because I was all in on this, because I knew that I could get back here anyway, because I've done it so many times. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that would be my advice. Either get financially secure and learn a high level skill and go all in on something, or get so physically fit that you can look in the mirror and feel nothing but pride.
Yeah. And brother, before we disconnect, one last question. So we have been speaking about, how you like Drake's drip, the bullet holes in the back. I mean, over the past couple of years, you coached hundreds, thousands of people, right? And there have been dozens of people that have been ripping you off.
Yeah.
Like, regarding recent events, let's just say, can I ask, like, what made you go after that one guy recently that when you say this, like, enough is enough, and just put that line in the sand over here?
It's really difficult because you don't ever want to be that person. I never wanted to be that person. I don't ever want to. But unfortunately, as a CEO of a company that employs 15 people and hopefully over the next couple of years, 1,500 people, you have to take a stand. You have to respect what you have, which is intellectual property and trademarked education. And that's really important that people understand that and people take heed of that. I'm always of the opinion it's like, if you don't own it, don't take the applause of using it, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like you got a Rolex on your arm. It's a Submariner 2-ton, right?
Correct.
You could have stole that or you could have earned it. Which do you think is going to give you more pride wearing it every day?
I mean, of course, when you earn it.
Correct. And that's really important because at the end of the day, you got to hit the pillow tonight and you got to know that you've done everything you can in your life. So you can do it the short way, which is just taking something, ripping it apart and producing it as your own without any improvement. Or you can spend years learning and developing and having something that you can fundamentally be proud of and build something so great that helps thousands of people that you feel it's so important that you protect it. Which is important. And that's where we are. It's like I built something so great that we need to protect it and to keep it at the standard and value that it was made to be. And if I continue to let people rip it apart and use it for what they want to use it without ever paying homage or without ever, taking out a licensing deal, then I'm doing it a disservice. And I'm also doing the business a disservice. And as a CEO, what you fundamentally have to do is you got to protect people. And in order to protect people, you have to protect how they protect themselves. If I don't protect the IP and I don't protect the business as a whole, how can I fundamentally look at my guys in the eye every single day and say, I'm doing everything I can for you? So there's a time in life when you have to leave what you want out of it, which is like, I don't want to be in a position that you have to do that to people. But I also have to take on the responsibility of being a great CEO, which is ultimately taking care of my people.
Yeah.
And that's important. And everyone you can be judged by social media or you can be judged by business. And you can be judged based on, right and facts rather than feelings and emotions. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, and I am just as guilty as everybody is, sometimes you let your emotions flow, and it sometimes it gets lost in the sauce. The fundamental fact and the reality is if you allow people to steal from you, they won't stop. If I owned a shop and I had food in the fucking fridge and someone came in and took the food out of the fridge, and people knew that you could go there and do that, guess what will happen?
But it also goes back to the belief and the confidence in your product. Because, like, if on the bottom of your heart, you would feel that your product is weak, like, you wouldn't care, just take it, resell it, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I built something that's so fundamentally brilliant. With all due respect, it's never been coached, it's never been built. And people that don't know will just talk shit at me like, yeah, but sales has been coached for hundreds and hundreds of years. Yeah, it has as an ideology, but not my ideology.
Yeah.
My ideology is blueprinted and it is specific to me. That's around fear. That's around the objection frameworks. That's around the yin and yang. That's around the negatives and positives in a conversation. That's around the entire framework of everything that we have fundamentally spent years building. That is IP.
Yeah.
And that's important that you protect it. And if I didn't believe that it was worth valuable assets and valuable finances, then have it. But unfortunately, you can't allow people to steal and then think that it's okay.
Yeah.
Because everyone will do it then, and then that's the issue.
Yeah. Bill, I appreciate you, for that hour. It means a lot. Is there like anything that you want to add by yourself to the audience or to anyone who might be listening?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to show, don't tell. If you are good, don't tell people you're good. Show people that you're good. And after a while, people will just tell for you. There's too many people want to tell that they're good without actually proving that they're good. As people would say, when you get into the ring, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
Come and actually show us that you're good at what you do. If not, just shut the fuck up and go and do some work.
Yeah. Awesome, Bill.
All right.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Conrad, see you.